And we're about to jump into number 5, guys. And we got to give a shout out to our boy, Greg Hoogkamp, because we're talking about a Canadian prospect, Owen Caissie, an outfielder with one very major tool that I think can carry him to the major leagues this year. Matt, what's the scope on Owen Caissie?
So yeah, he was added to the 40-man roster this winter, which is the first real step, right, to getting up to the big leagues. But yeah, you nailed it. That power, the power plays, and Casey's a little bit more than just a power bat. He's got the. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of the three true outcomes hitter, but two of those outcomes are good, right? The home runs and the walks. You'll take the walks all day, but it's a little bit strikeout prone. We're gonna have to figure that out. I think the hit tool is kind of casts a little bit of doubt on the profile. Um, Not a very strong defender in the outfield either. Like he's pigeonholed to a corner. But we're not here to talk about defense. We're here to talk about home runs because Casey's power will, can take you out any ballpark. Nothing's gonna contain him. Hits the ball in the air a lot. Like it's really strong metrics, really strong batted ball profile in general. He did struggle a little bit handling velocity, and the best pitchers in the world are in the big leagues. So that's gonna be something to watch. But man, Owen Caissie, it's a crowded outfield right now in Wrigley, but he's not a bad option to break glass and call up if you need to. If Seiya Suzuki has his yearly thing, then Caissie could step in and DH and won't miss a beat.
Yeah, well said. And Reese, to you, brother, with Owen Caissie, as Matt said, it is more than just the power defining his profile, but as a three true outcomes player and as a player who the Cubs are going to be looking for as an offensive threat, what are we expecting with this power?
I think we're talking about. I mean, he could be someone who really takes advantage of when the wind starts blowing out. When the wind starts blowing out, this dude could just start going nuclear. But we're talking about plus power. Like he hits the ball in the air quite a bit. Three true outcomes guy. The question is, what does he really ever get a chance with the Cubs? Because the Cubs outfield is pretty locked in. Pete Crow Armstrong is going to be locked in center. You have Ian Happ, and then you have in right field right now Kyle Tucker. So the avenues for him to get playing time are a little bit muddled and everything like that. But I think that we're talking about a guy who in his best years could hit 30 home runs. The average might be a little ugly, but also he's someone who coming into this time last year, there was some platoon concerns about him. I think he kind of shored that up. He does still struggle with velocity, but he also he was showing that he couldn't hit left-handed velocity. Now he's just showing that he and left-handed breaking stuff. Now he's showing that he can round that out and has worked on those softer skills of hitting.
His exit velo stuff is
Absolutely.
top tier. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of prospects in. I want to make sure I'm selling the power appropriately because it's massive. I would argue it's 70 raw, maybe even higher than that. It's incredible power. It's just does the hit tool allow him to get to it? That's the question.
It always is. I mean, you have to consider
Yeah.
that, Matt. That's a great thing to point out because really that is kind of the one major outlying question for Caissie. In terms of fantasy guys, really quickly, we know that the industry is catching up on Caissie. He's probably a top 120, if not higher, prospect in just about every publication you could look for. Well worth the investment, of course, again, because of proximity and also because of the light tower power that we've discussed.